I'm saying there's nothing on the agenda for it.
Okay, good evening. This is June 4th, our June Traffic and Safety Commission's meeting. It is 8:01, and we'll start off with roll call.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
DiTomaso.
Yes.
Blaskamp.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
McMurray.
Yes.
Carl Timmerman.
Here.
Karen Timmerman. Wagner.
Here.
Chairperson Pincos. Here.
Okay, then let's go to any amendments to their agenda for tonight. Okay, I think we'll proceed on then. It doesn't look like anybody's saying anything. Okay, opening it up to public comments on agenda items. And we have nobody for that. And we're going to open it up to public comment on non-agenda items. And go ahead, Joe.
Paperwork for you guys to pass. I stopped by tonight to, not knowing that Kevin was going to be here, to thank him personally for following up on putting up the new 988 suicide and crisis prevention hotline, suicide hotline numbers. I appeared before you guys about a year and a half ago, because of my experience of being, working for the railroad a lot of years and currently volunteering for a railroad safety organization. I have identified access points that need attention. Villa Park is held in very high esteem in the railroad community because of the efforts they've made in the past of putting up the fencing and, keeping the community informed about safety around the trains, participating in the Metro Safety Blitz days. So I did another inventory on areas around the railroad that could use some attention. Some are on private property, some are on railroad-owned property. I ask that you use whatever influence you have to tighten up some of the access points. Some of the signs, better placement I'm recommending, so that they're more visible to the people who are pedestrians as opposed to people in vehicles who are going by them so fast they probably won't read them anyway. So, and then in addition to my trips around town, I saw a couple of street sign improvements that need to be made. Just giving this for information. I won't be following up. If I notice something a year from now that hasn't been followed up on, I'll come back and ask you why or see if you can follow up again on it. But again, Kevin, thank you for following up with the 988. I know it took a while to get everything coordinated, and but I know that was not by any fault of the village. They wanted to make sure that the signs were the ones issued by the county, and appreciate you guys putting the bumper stickers out too. Here they were out the other day for the 988. So, do we have any more of those signs downstairs? Do you know? I know they were handling them out for a little while.
Don't know. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah,
Once.
the 988 crisis prevention suicide hotline
There's
yard signs.
3 of them right there.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, hey, don't be shy. Put them out where people can see them. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you. Kevin, you got any comments on this?
I can just say that Public Works will look into the street sign notes and address those as appropriate. The fencing along the railroad is a much more difficult effort that needs coordination by a lot of different agencies, and so we've not, unfortunately, made much substantial progress on that. We'll also take a look at the additional 988 recommendations.
Do we supply the 988 signs, or are they supplied by the?
The village has fabricated those signs in-house.
Okay. However, the fence is owned by the railroad, or is that ours?
It was installed as a collaborative effort roughly 20 years ago between the village and the railroad. I don't technically know who owns it, but I can promise that any repairs to it are going to need coordination with the railroad.
Okay.
Even if it is technically owned by the village.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments? All right. Okay. Let's move on. Turning to Bob, reports on the bike pedestrian and transit subcommittee.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Pincos. So the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee met on May 23rd. There was a retrospective of the events that we had during May, the Bike Month. So May 8th, we had the Walk Roll to School Day with North School, and thanks to the North School PTA, I was pretty impressed with the number of kids that turned out, both walking and bicycling, and I kind of tagged along with Commissioner Little. We had a little entourage of kids. We did a big loop through the east of Ardmore and gathered some kids, and kudos to one mom who actually ran alongside her child who had training wheels on her bicycle. That's how dedicated they were. So I was pretty impressed. And then May 9th, we had their movie, The Engine Inside. I think we had 16 or 17 people. We actually had 2 people from the Palatine Bike Club come down for the movie. It was a fabulous movie. One not so great thing happened with our smart cycling class. Despite the promotion of that event, there was no one signed up for it. So talked to Parks and Recreation Department, and we're going to try and do it again on August 24th. And then May 15th was a Ride of Silence, and just thank the Villa Park Police Department. We had Community Service Officer Brittany Hall led the way, and then Officer Tim Walsh followed us on an e-bike. We did a route through Villa Park, and we had double the number of people that we had from last year. And there's this big guy on this really cool bike, road bike, and I look at him, and it's our finance director. Was with us on the ride. And so we did our loop through Villa Park. We rode over to Elmhurst and joined the Elmhurst Bike Club, so it was a great event. And we're hoping to do even better next year. One
Can I
thing,
stop you for a second?
pardon me, sure.
Yeah. You said you doubled the amount of participants?
Right, I think we had, so double, we had 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's an improvement.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Good.
So, so one thing that the subcommittee talked about is to look at the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan, which was passed in 2018, and compare it to the comprehensive plan to see how those two things mesh. The comprehensive plan is still a work in progress, but the subcommittee will meet at the library on Saturday, June 29th, I think from 9 a.m. to 11, and we'd encourage anyone who's interested in kind of furthering our progress on implementing the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan to attend. There was some discussion about participating in the July 4th parade. We decided not to do that. There was some discussion about the annual community bike ride, which we had for a number of years, but then ended. We'll revisit that next year. Oops. Commissioner Amore did some research on PACE signage, and I think this PACE is, we are, in some communities, you can flag down a bus, but that's not the case in Villa Park. You have to be at a bus stop. There was some discussion about the Tri-Trail Connector. Progress has been slow. I guess Kevin can update us, but Director Guerra said that the contractor may not be working as promptly as possible, and the section around the union won't be completed until after the unions, that construction happens. Commissioner Moore gave us a report on the DePage Rail and Safety Council, and I mentioned that there's a interesting webinar coming up. It's actually on June 5th. I think it's at 1:30 PM or 2 o'clock, no, 1 PM, and it's put on by America Walks. And the title of the webinar is People Over Parking. So, and those are the salient points of the subcommittee meeting, and that concludes my report.
Okay, so that
You
last,
said that's June 5th?
Yeah, tomorrow, yeah. It's I think it's at 1 PM. If you go to America Walks, you can get a link to get on the webinar. And the title of it is People Over Parking.
Great.
And that's it.
thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Any comments with Bob's report?
It might not be a bad idea for me just to go ahead and mention that paving of the tri-trail was completed yesterday.
Oh, it was.
So there's still more work to be done. There's a lot of landscaping, a lot of restoration work that's needed before the trail is actually safe for trail users, but at least that milestone with the paving is now complete.
But just a portion of it, not the complete.
So, as you noted, the portion of the trail in front of the proposed union development is being removed from the current contract, simply because anything we put in now would be completely destroyed with the union construction. So we don't feel there's any point in spending that money and then having it, disappear in a few weeks, months, whatever it takes. The only other portion that still needs to be constructed is in front of the Lions Park Community Recreation Center. That is also on hold due to the construction there. So, but the remainder of it, east of the Avenue, has all been paved now.
Good.
Do we know a timeline for when it will be actually finished and open to users?
We are waiting for the contractor to provide us with that schedule. They've got enough time left in the contract deadline to not necessarily have to jump in there this week, but we're hoping for an answer by the end of this week as to when that time or when that schedule will be.
All right, thank you.
And you said it's basically landscaping that's, what's left?
Yeah, just a matter of backfilling, placing topsoil so that there aren't any large drop-offs on the edge of the trail that someone could ride off or catch a toe and hurt themselves.
And is that seeding or sodding?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and check.
And I'm just saying that in reference to it's coming up to July, and typically they don't do any landscaping during July and August.
Right.
So, okay.
Are we doing that stuff in-house?
No, it's contracted.
Contract?
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to item 7, approval of the minutes.
Motion made.
I'll second.
That was Karen Timmerman and Tricia Little.
Yes. I assume, does anybody have any comments before we move forward? Okay, everybody's happy with them. Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. Been approved. Old business, item number 898, drive like your kids live here signs, or whatever signs we may decide to go with. I believe we go to Bob and Jack on this. Did anybody do this?
Could I just make a quick note? There were questions from commissioners regarding this item. I had reached out for some input, but failed to provide it back out to the group. Questions were basically how many signs did we distribute, or how many signs did we fabricate and distribute last time, and where did they go? The short answer is I believe it was 100 signs, and they were distributed at various events by the police department, etc. There was no tracking as to who took them, where they went, whether or not they were posted. Just
Right.
to answer questions that have come in so far.
Yes. And to add to that, I think you would confirm that our budget's back down to like $250,
Confirm the budget is $500.
$500.
There's a copy of an email both information from Commissioner DiTomaso as well as some additional info from me in the agenda packet.
Okay.
That would be on page, sorry, bear with me here, 14 of 24. So yes, confirm the budget amount is $500, but you've been advised that when the commission reaches agreement on what it would like to do, we can push a request to the village manager's office based on the actual dollar amount, and they can then provide a formal response, even if that dollar amount is above 500.
Okay, does everybody understand that then? Okay. All right, do we have any more comments about the signs? Do we have any ideas?
I
Anything
just
new?
talked to one of my customers who's in printing and stuff like that, and first off, he said, "Oh, I could beat $7 an hour a sign," and then it was, no, he can't, so. I did look into it a little bit, and he said for a small shop, it was gonna be like $10 a sign, and I thought that was way out of line.
May not be with the quantity that we're talking about though, too.
Well, if we, probably the more we do, the maybe the lower the price can get.
I mean, that was a good price that we ended up last time.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
Well,
that was-
actually, the price that I found the other day, which is in your packet, is half the price of what you paid last time.
Okay,
You paid 700 total last time for 100 signs. What I've got is 200 signs for 722.
okay.
Now, there might be a shipping cost on top of that.
where's that place located?
I don't know, it's someplace online. I think Iowa, but I'm not certain.
If it was close by, I'd pick them up.
It's on your route.
Yeah. I think the company wouldn't even mind if I used the truck.
Okay, well, yes, Bob.
So usually there is some sort of setup charge, with, what does your artwork look like? And, so, I agree, $7 a sign was probably not the best price, but we got them quick. There was no charge for shipping. There was no setup charge, since obviously those are the only signs they make. So, I would just offer that I'm not convinced that they're effective. That's just my only comment.
Okay. Anybody have a add-on to that?
I think they're effective.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess why would you not think they're effective? I think the only thing is that we only had about 100 of them around town. So that's not a lot of visibility. So if we consistently do them year after year, it might gain more visibility.
okay. I will say, and when we handed out the 100, I want to say it took a good solid year, 12 months for them to be handed out.
Well, I would expect it to be a little bit better this time. I spoke with the people on the Fund Commission, and they're willing to, at their events, provide the ability for them to go out as well.
What commission was that?
Fund Commission.
Fun. Oh,
So, Summerfest, anywhere where they've got a tent, they're happy to take a stack of signs and distribute them and track where they're going and whatnot for us.
okay. Yes, Bob.
So, Commissioner DiTomaso mentioned the Community Focus on Unifying Neighbors Commission. So the Environmental Concerns Commission and the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee will have a table at Summer Festival. And also, we had a table at National Night Out as well. So we helped distribute them at both events. So we'll raise our, if there's a decision to buy signs, we'll be glad to distribute them.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, so,
In fact, we did last year.
thank you. So my question is do we want to do these signs, and do we want to leave it the same wording, drive like your kids live here, or do we want to come up with something else? Or comments, thoughts?
I kind of like them as they are. I mean, we're kind of starting this. This is our second round of this. And the simpler it is, the better, in my opinion. Like one color, drive like your kids live here. I don't know, I saw some of the examples, like, this is not a racetrack. I don't want to put that thought in people's heads.
There.
Okay.
And maybe if we have more signs, we can be a little more aggressive about getting them out there. And if they're willing to track where these signs are going or who's taking these signs, might be able to say, okay, this part of town's well covered, this part might not be so well covered, that kind of thing.
Yes, Bob?
So, one drawback for the Drive Like Your Kids Live Here signs is, in the wintertime, it obscures, the snow obscures here,
Right.
and it says Drive Like Your Kids. Kind of a little fun, but in terms of a design for a sign, I think that we could probably ask our communications person, Riley Pilar, to help us develop something. She could, if we gave her some ideas. She helped us, we did some flyers, and she said, let me know in the future, because I'll do the flyers. So she could probably develop something for us pretty good, pretty quickly.
Well, if my only hesitation for that would be, that would push our decision to July. By the time we get the signs, it'll be August.
The festivals will be passed.
Yes, yeah, and get them distributed, it'll be September. We missed the whole summer.
Well, how fast could we get the signs that you were talking to those people? How soon
Week
could
to
we?
10 days, something like that,
It's usually
if they cut a check tomorrow.
I don't think that'll happen, but
Well, but I mean, likely we could have them by
July.
July 1st.
Were they a part of like a plastic sign, or were they more of a?
They were
hard-
corrugated plastic.
Corrugated. That's
They're the
what I
same
thought.
one,
plastic.
yeah, they're the same kind of signs that candidates use for their elections.
Okay.
They have a lifespan.
Yeah, well, mine's
About
been there
3
for 2 years,
Oh, you've had one of these signs?
but since you did it the first time, I've had it, it hasn't moved.
Oh, you leave it out during the winter too, huh?
I have not moved it.
Okay.
It's
not
been-
even to cut the grass?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay. Any more comments about?
Well, if we want to do something, we should probably do it tonight then. If we're going to be effective at all this summer. I would be content to go with the sign we had for now. I mean, next winter, if we do this again, we can look into some other plans, because like Commissioner Wagner had mentioned, we could go to the, what was her name again?
I can't,
Riley?
Riley?
Yeah, she's
And
a
have
new
her do it,
commu-
but that's just
She's a
going to
new
lengthen the
communications
process.
person.
And we already have a design that we've used before. Given the situation, why not?
I'm okay with it.
In fact, I'll make a motion. Why don't we move on it with Drive Like Your Kids Live Here? Go with the same exact sign. I think it was blue and white?
Red,
Red and white, excuse me.
red and white.
I've seen them blue too.
We could change color.
Want to do that?
Yes.
I second.
Change the color, it's easier to keep track of which signs are which too.
That's true.
Okay, so we
Okay.
have a motion on the table?
Well, wait, before we go any further.
second.
No, wait, before we go any further, Kevin has a comment about it.
I guess maybe more of a question. Do we know for a fact that the signs we ordered last time are the same price still?
I don't, right?
No.
I don't know.
No, that's why I'm talking about this other company.
If I understood correctly, though, I believe the motion was to place an identical order with the same vendor as last time, identical quantities last time. Is that-
But not specific to a vendor. Just
Oh,
that we
okay, just
make
the same
them-
design.
Yeah.
Same Understood, okay.
What about
thank you.
quantity?
We could do double quantity.
I've been working under 200 instead
I
of
think that the
100.
more the better.
So 200?
Okay,
150?
well, okay, I'm still kind of interested in reference to what the real total cost is. Is there a setup, shipping?
No, there may be shipping, I'm not certain on that, but there is, in your packet, there's a page that shows your total cost is $722 plus whatever shipping might apply.
Okay, but do we send them the design for this?
No, they pretty much do it, they send you back a proof, you tell them if you want any minor adjustments to it, and they can just roll with it.
If you have the design, we could send them the design.
Yeah, we can send them a
If they
picture
had it
of what we,
last time.
yeah, we can send them a picture of what we have, and they'll draft something similar.
If they have something already that they've made, maybe it would be a little less expensive?
No, this isn't terribly complicated.
No.
They do thousands of signs like this for political candidates and what, these signs, like the 988 signs, things like that. This is normal for them. And there's no, this is just text. There isn't really any graphics on anything.
And it's, if we just go with one color, it's a little less too, isn't it?
Yes, one color, two side, with the stands will cost us, according to this, $722.
That's
And
double.
they're,
what
and
we-
that's for 200 signs.
Yeah.
Last time we paid $700 for 100 signs.
Where is this proposal? I don't see the proposal.
It's in your packet.
It's on page roughly 14, 15.
15.
Bob, it might have been, if you got the packet that was on the dais, it'll be in there.
And Bob, you had another comment?
Just a thought occurred to me, I mean, is there any copyright with Drive Like Your Kids Live Here? I tend to doubt that there is, but
One color, 200 sticks.
there might be.
I've never noticed any copyright signature on any of those signs, and I've seen a lot of signs.
You don't technically have to use a copyright symbol on those without going into a bad law school exam. I mean, once you put something on paper, whoever put it on paper owns a copyright, whether they file it or not. It's very difficult to get ownership of a
This
phrase.
afternoon, it was.
What about
three-peat?
Hopefully, that's why.
Three-peat.
That's, yeah.
Was that Collins?
But I mean, for a phrase like "drive like your kids live here," I would be shocked if that's
I just did
owned
this
by
afternoon.
anybody.
Oh,
Right.
wait, what is it? Is that $24?
I mean, we didn't have any problems with it last time, did we, Bob?
The one I've got here.
No, but it came from the Drive Like Your Kids Live Here website. It was,
Oh, I checked.
That's
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I see what you're,
they were the
Sticks.
Got it.
promoters and, yeah. So my question is, if we we're going to exceed our budget by $222, do we know that that's okay?
well,
Change it to 20.
that's why I'm asking, I think obviously we need to know the total cost in order to go to the village and submit that, and then I don't know if the village manager will be the only person that ends up approving it, or if it has to go in front of a budget board.
No, it just has to go to the village manager. The village manager has authority to spend up to $25,000 without village board approval.
Okay.
So he can just easily approve it on his own, and my understanding is that's what he's indicated he's willing to
That's
do.
what I got from the email.
Yeah.
Okay, and I agree with it, I don't know about that, but I definitely would want to have a solid price, and I want to make sure that, the point is there is no, copyright infringements on this anywhere in reference to it, but I would think the printers would know about it if they do.
It's logging in,
I
yeah.
would think so. Ed makes a very good point, and he is a professional.
Just a quick search of the drivelikeyourkidslivehere.com website does say all content appearing on this website is the property of Drive Like Your Kids Live Here. Now, I don't know how far that extends, whether it's the phrase itself or simply the sign design that was purchased last time, but that is at least what is posted on the website.
So we purchased the design last time?
No. We purchased it from the
From them.
website that,
We purchased it directly from them.
yes.
That's why the price is what it
That's why
is,
the price is- Yep.
because they probably bought 10,000 signs at $2 a piece, and so they're making money to support their foundation, which is fine, but I think we have better options. Maybe we just use a different phrase.
Well, that's where I'm saying we need to investigate then a little bit more and find out what phrase we can, or if they can use that. Or if we talk to this website, whoever it may, if there's a phone number or email, we find out if maybe we can get another quote from them.
Oh, there's no.
Did we get this website from Lombard? Because that's kind of where we started this stuff.
No, it's right.
Yeah, and Lombard got it from Glendale Heights.
And that's where the drive like.
That's how it kind of, started flowing. So they had great results in Glendale Heights, and Lombard was praising the results of the signs too.
And then they went through the same website then.
I see.
Yes, Ed?
If there's a concern about copyright with Drive Like Your Kids Live Here, maybe consider Drive Like You Live Here. It's just different enough
Get
where,
us past the copyright issue.
yeah. And maybe, I mean,
Drive
if it
Like-
was red last year, maybe go with a different color.
Yeah, the blue looks good.
Maybe that's what I thought.
I agree with that.
I think
Or
that's
we could
good.
change it completely and say something like, slow down, our kids live here, or something
Slow
like that.
down doesn't work.
No?
No.
Makes people want to go faster.
It's more of a
So
command
we
than a
could put speed
suggestion.
up, maybe.
10 points a kid.
Yes.
Well, I think we need a little more investigation into it, and then if we can come up with the right saying that we're gonna have. I mean, I'm not comfortable at the moment, but I'm just me.
Well, I included a couple that I found in the packet. I did include a few.
That's on the back page, on 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
Page 16. That's just a couple I came across just to give it a little thought.
The only one I have not seen is the slow down, this is a neighborhood, not a racetrack. I've seen all the other ones.
Where did you find the Drive Like Your Children Live Here?
Just on an image search on Google.
Okay. And without blowing it up, what is the little box at the bottom of it?
I do not know.
Looks like Assure. And I can't figure out what it says underneath it.
America.
I think it's a phone number underneath it.
Let's see.
That's what they're talking about, yeah.
It says Assure America.
See, I've got the original, well, it was printed.
It says Assure America.
Assure America, she says. It's right here.
Let's see, what is Assure America?
Yes, Bob?
Yeah, it might be nice if, once again, I mentioned our communication specialist, if we develop something, had a consensus as to what the sign would look like, and then maybe she could develop something that would have the village's logo on it as well. I think that's what Lombard did with their signs. They had their village logo on it,
Both Lombard and Glendale Heights had their logos on it.
and the logo on it, yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna try and do this all the time, we might as well start off on our right foot, even though,
I'll withdraw the motion.
so. But I feel I need to have a little more solid information instead of a general discussion. I mean,
I agree with you.
design, and I kinda like the idea of actually having, some type of,
logo.
I like
yeah,
this.
the little park logo on it, I think that's a great idea.
I think that's my favorite so far.
So,
Assure America.
Maybe we should get multiple designs
Mr. Chairman,
instead of just one.
quick question. Is there, because this was mentioned earlier, is there a pressing need to get this out by the summer? The only reason is, it seems like this is something that, if the goal, intent of this program is to get people to slow down a little bit, that, I mean, obviously, there's more people out in the summer than there are the winter, but it really shouldn't matter when the signs are ready, if the intent is to get people just to slow down. So I mean, while I can appreciate getting these out as quickly as possible, because there was a positive effect from this, although I would say that it was marginal at best, but in some instances, that's beneficial. That I don't think that pushing this off another month or even 2 months to get this right, to find a design that's going to work for us, is really going to have a negative effect on the goal of this program.
I
No,
agree with you.
I agree. It won't have an impact that way. It'll make distribution a little bit more challenging, and it kind of blows to summer. But it's, at the end of it, it's not a crucial thing if we wait a little bit.
Well, I just think if we're gonna do it, and we're gonna try and do this yearly,
Yeah.
we do it and set this
Yeah,
up totally,
Do it right the first time, and then next time
and
we
just
just
keep
approve it.
building off of it, yes.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
I mean, does everybody else? I totally agree with you, Ed. I'm just, and then that way we can get a solid idea of how much the cost will be, if
Yeah.
there's shipping, if there's, design setup fees.
That design, I was just looking at.
I'm
this.
almost certain there's no design setup fees, and shipping for this kind of thing is usually 75, 80 bucks, something like that. It's usually not that bad.
And I believe that, sign that we had last time might have a copyright on it because it does
Oh, we
have,
changed the wording.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We can verify everything and take it up next meeting. I'm okay with that.
And then possibly end up, talking to our design, what was her name again?
Riley Pilar.
Riley.
Yeah, she's our communication specialist.
And she lives in town, by the way.
Shipping's free.
Is it?
Yeah, your shipping would be free,
Shipping would be free.
and there's no setup cost.
Okay. Do we have any other ideas of possibly sayings on the sign besides,
I do like the neighborhood, not a racetrack.
what'd you say?
I said I do like this neighborhood is not, this is a neighborhood, not a racetrack.
Oh, slow down, okay,
Go
yes.
down.
I like our village logo, the circle. It's a nice, cute little house. It's a beautiful logo that we have up on the screen, and just keep it simple, drive safely. You know, you're not targeting anybody or barking a command or somebody, but it's giving you the nice homey feeling and telling you to drive safely.
I like it.
Sounds okay.
I think the village logo should be smaller than the message.
Boring.
Yeah, it's not gonna grab anybody's attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I, no.
It's gotta grab
I-
something's
I
attention.
think the logo needs to be a little bit smaller, I agree. The attention is not on the village.
But to drive safely, make it bolder and maybe make that in red or something.
Well, why don't we give this lady a possibility to have a chance to look at it, and maybe she'll come up with a great idea that we'll all like too. Yes, Kevin?
My only question was going to be, do you know if a graphic like a logo increases the price?
No.
It's just the colors increase the price.
In fact, I mean, we had the opportunity to just upload our own design or let them design it for us. So it'll work either way. That won't be an issue. So if Riley is able to come up with a design we're all happy with, we can just upload what she designs and the problem's taken care of. But if we want to get on direct with them and say, these are the wording we want, can you put something together, they'll do that too.
So what I'm thinking is let's table it for tonight. Let's sit and talk to
Right.
her about it. See if she comes up with Riley with maybe some other ideas that way above our heads. I mean, that's her profession, I guess.
Okay.
And bring it back at our next meeting in July.
Do you want a motion to that effect?
Hold on, wait.
I was just going to suggest that there should be, I would recommend that one commissioner play point on this.
I'll take care of it,
I totally agree on that.
unless somebody else wants to.
Does anybody else want to team up with them? I would like to have a team if it's possible.
If I had time, sure.
You want to team up? Okay, that'd be great. I just would like to have two people in reference together in case something, whatever happens, falls through, or
Yeah.
it'd be great. Okay. All right, so at the moment, we'll have Joe and Bob as our chair people on this. And move. Do we have a motion then to,
I'll make it.
Sure. I motion that we are, what are we doing? We're tabling it until they
Tabling
come
it.
up
we're
with a design?
tabling it and we're putting both Joe and Bob
charge?
to do more investigation and come back with information, solid information in reference to it, and maybe a possibly, a couple of,
Design options?
yeah, or slogans or something. That maybe we're not just looking at, that might be pretty good.
I gotta come over here tomorrow anyway, so I'll try and grab Riley when I'm here and get her going on it.
Okay,
Great.
all right. Vicky, motion, second. Carl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. Moving on to old business, item 899 North Avenue Car Show. I haven't heard anything more in reference to anything up there. Has anybody else heard anything?
I talked to Deputy Chief McCann today. There really isn't a lot to report, although he said he's being a little bit more cooperative. There still is the same kind of activities that we've had problems with in the past. The police are doing what they can. The hope is that they'll be selling the business here shortly, and that'll be that.
Okay. I know somebody brought up the timetable of something like June 1st.
That's what I thought I heard.
thought it was 6th, which is this,
Pardon?
I thought I heard it was June 6th. Was this Thursday? That's what you mentioned last meeting?
I don't,
That was the closing date on the property for the new owner?
so.
That doesn't mean he's gone on the 6th. Just because he closes, he can do a rent back. And a lot of times they will. So I wouldn't be surprised if it took the summer.
It just seemed awful fast in reference to what they're building there and everything else. They have to go through zoning and,
Well, Bellfire's been through planning and zoning, and they've been approved through planning and zoning, but the village board still has to approve it. That hasn't happened yet, so their next meeting is next Monday. So they won't even get to it till then. And then I'm sure it takes a little bit of time to get your contractors and everything
Right,
else lined up.
exactly.
And
well, the legal, and then how many days does he have once he has?
that's entirely up to Bellfire. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what we can do at the moment, if, do we want to leave this on
Yeah.
as an agenda item and follow through with it?
Sure. we'll
Follow what's
send it
happening.
and follow.
Okay. Do we have to have a motion here or just?
I'll make that motion. Table it till next meeting.
Okay. Joe, anybody want to second it?
So seconded.
McMurray.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, new businesses. Item number 900, parking restrictions on Princeton south of Belden. Kevin?
As I mentioned in the email that went out to commissioners with the agenda on Friday, I sincerely apologize, but we did not get around to notifying residents there as discussed at the last meeting. I held off on that between Friday and yesterday and today. Just want to make sure with discussion here tonight that commission still desires to discuss this at the July meeting, in which case staff will proceed to get those notices out.
Well, have we heard anything from the person that complained in the first place?
Not to my knowledge.
Yes, Bob?
Yes, so I actually went up after our meeting, our last meeting, and then I went up today just to walk that stretch. And I rang 2 doorbells, and the people that I talked to said that they didn't really see a problem. There was extra activity. There were 17 parking spaces, and then, parents are there for soccer games, but there was no real issue with parking on both sides of the streets. The one neighbor said that, there's a house on Belden, they had a big party, and there were cars on both sides of the street, but they didn't really indicate that there was a consistent problem. And I did measure the street at different areas, and per Kevin's memo, it varies. At its widest, it's 18 feet. And then when you get to the very southern part where that parcel is, where they tore down the house, It's 11 feet 5 inches. So
Is that down at the end, Bob?
that's at the southern end of Princeton. Yeah, it would kind of narrows down and it curves.
Well, I'm thinking that we should keep it on our agenda, send out information, and have the residents possibly come in and say that, have any comments on it. And then we can make a decision from that point there, if we should remove it or dig deeper into it and see what we can come up with. I do have one thought, since you said it was around 11 feet wide at one spot. Is there any idea of improving that roads over there by the village at any time soon?
I would say there's no plans at the moment, at least, no.
Okay. But we maintain it and we plow it and
Yes.
all that good stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Joe?
I went down and took a look as well. It is a relatively narrow street. I'm not comfortable taking on-street parking away from the residents unless they want it that way. There are 15 or 17 parking spaces, which I've not seen this, but I'm told that that's oftentimes not enough for the soccer games. But it did look like we could add a handful of additional parking spaces to the south of that parking area, at least from what I could see. I'm no engineer. So if the parking availability is truly a concern, then I'm thinking that might be the best thing to consider doing. I don't see that we're gonna gain a whole lot by eliminating parking on the one side of the street.
Well, first off, I'd like to find out, and I've definitely put a big question mark in my mind, is he talked to a couple residents, and I think there's, what, 5 or 6 of them on that street? If I remember.
Maybe 7 or 8, but yeah.
Okay, but I think we should reach out to them, see if they want to come to our
I agree.
meeting, voice any of their concerns, and then we decide where we're going from that point there, because it may be, they're not concerned about it, then we're just gonna leave it as is. And that
That's
is,
kind of where I'm leaning,
so, I mean,
unless they tell me that there's a problem in their opinion.
I also don't think, like, given that there's on-street parking on all of the other streets, I don't think that it's necessary to add additional parking spaces to the soccer field. If you're coming for a soccer game, presumably most people are ambulatory because it's not accessible anyway, right?
Okay.
It's all grass, it's turf. So most people are presumably capable of walking 1 block. If they
Right.
have to park on street with their car and walk a block to the soccer field, I feel like most
Oh, I agree with you. I agree.
attendees are able to manage that.
well, and, yes, Bob?
And there is parking in Twin Lakes Park for folks, or, for parents who are going to a soccer game as well.
Right. The parking lot is full for 3 hours on Saturdays for 2 months. So I don't feel like building additional parking is necessary when,
The cost for, yeah.
right, for
the
that,
return,
that
yeah.
amount of usage.
Agree.
On-street parking is available. There are lots of on-street spots.
Okay.
Jack?
Yes, I just think we should probably reach out to the neighbors to see if they could attend a meeting, see if this is an isolated concern with just one resident, or is this actually an issue with multiple residents? We need more information on this. We need to reach out to the neighborhood.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Tricia, do you know what day those soccer games usually are on?
It's on Saturdays.
It's on Saturdays?
Saturday morning, yeah. They're done
Saturday
before
morning?
noon. Saturday morning, they're done before noon.
Okay.
I want to bring up something regarding this, since we're going to try and table this to next month, and we're trying to get people to get involved. I personally will not be able to attend that week of the meeting, which would be on the 2nd, and 4th is 2 days later. I imagine a lot of people wouldn't want to be involved with that, unless you want to do, as we did the last time a holiday came up, move it to the following week.
Do the 9th instead of the 2nd.
Just a quick point of order. Changing the date of a meeting requires formal action by the commission, which has to be on the agenda in advance. So unfortunately, it's too late
To do that.
to change the July meeting date without, you could have a special meeting at this point, but I don't know that it rises to that level of need.
Okay. Well, just a thought.
Okay. Well, I guess, well,
If we reached out to the residents, can we push it, can we push it till August?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I mean, if obviously they're not pounding at the
Right.
door here right now in reference to it.
We're not here.
So,
So,
I have
Even
no
Joe
problem,
left.
I have no problem pushing it off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if we.
Like I said, Bob talked to a couple neighbors, which
Yeah.
is
Two,
what,
yeah.
Yeah.
two, was
All
that
right,
maybe
so I make a motion, we table-
25%?
I make a motion, we table this until August meeting. And,
Well, when we send out the letter, wouldn't we say, well, please attend the August meeting?
correct, yes,
And
and,
the
and,
6th meeting.
and ask Kevin to make sure that the residents are notified. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Yeah, motion by D. Tomaso, second by Carl Timmerman.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. So that's where we're going. All right. Moving on, and we have no other new items. Nobody else has anything to add, or? Okay. So we're gonna move on to commissioners' comments. Ed, we'll start at your side.
No comments tonight.
Carl?
Just as I said, I won't be able to attend next month.
Okay.
Nothing.
I'll leave you alone this month.
Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, Jack?
I have one item, concern, and I don't know if we need to reach out to the railroad or if this is something that the village can handle, but I think we need railroad permission. If you're southbound on Villa and you hit the railroad tracks at the Union Pacific, the foliage looking to the west is severe. And I know with the bus company right there, they physically have to just about pull on top of the track in order to see down the road. I don't know if we need to contact Union Pacific to see if they could have this addressed or not before the next school year. You know, in
We
the
can
fall.
pass along that concern. In the past, it's been the railroad who's done the tree trimming. We've also had to solicit the assistance of the Illinois Commerce Commission on some occasions to try and get them to move things along.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna ask just to be clear, so it's on
yeah,
here?
yeah, it's right here. If you pull up here, the foliage,
Here, okay.
well, there's a lot less in that picture, but the
Sure.
foliage is really grown and you have to be almost on top of that railroad track to see westbound.
Okay. I will reach out to UP. I'll be honest, we don't always, actually, we rarely get responses, but as I mentioned, we have some ICC contacts that have helped us with this in the past. So we'll try and push it along.
Okay. Jack, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Bob?
I have nothing.
Vicky?
Sure. I missed last month, so I have a couple things. So Jay's like, oh no. Now, couple things. One thing is we went to the, what was it, they had the recycling event or whatever. So, you know, I mean, granted, we had a lot going on that day and so forth, but we made it there about 12. Everybody packed up and was gone. They wouldn't even take our stuff. So it was, yeah,
Go ahead, Bob.
go ahead.
Are you talking about the spring sweep?
Yeah,
Well, we were there, it ended at 12 o'clock.
correct. We were there at 11:45. My daughter was there at 11:45. They would not take anything. She actually saw the paint people driving away because we had a ton of paint. And they would not stop.
So I was involved in planning the event,
Yes.
and they left at 12 o'clock.
No, she left she left our house
Okay.
at 20 till, so
We
she went right there.
I can tell you that we were there past, they didn't, the paint people didn't leave until after 12 o'clock.
I'm gonna have to ask her about that then.
Okay.
'Cause
No,
she said
I
that
just
she
know,
was
I mean, we
there,
had,
and-
there were 411 trips through and we were there, people came early, and in fact, we didn't shut down till a little after 12.
Because she got back at like right before 12 and before 12, and
I don't know, I was there, so I'm not sure what happened, but
not sure.
sorry. But just to let you know, if I could, you can recycle paint. So there is Earth Paint, which is up in Wooddale, and they have an agreement with Ace Hardware. You can actually take oil-based paints and latex-based paints, and you can recycle them at Ace Hardware as well.
Oh, okay.
That's
Did
great.
not know
The
that.
one in Villa Park here?
In Villa Park?
The one in Villa Park.
Okay.
Is there a charge?
It's good to know.
There is a charge.
Okay.
There was
It's
a
the same charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
E-paint recycling's prices were a little bit less than Earth Paint, but not by much. So,
Okay. Well, I will check it out. So thank you for that too. And then, as I mentioned earlier when I came in, but it wasn't on, but everyone wasn't here, we did rent the party trailer from Villa Park. It was awesome. So highly recommended. You guys, they drop it off in front of your house and take everything out, you put everything back, and they come and pick it up, and it was amazing. So I think that was a great idea, whoever came up with that. Just wanted to let the village know that it worked out really well. So thank you.
Okay.
That was it.
Joe, any more?
Yeah, one thing, and I don't know if this is just my own sensitivity or if anybody else shares the thought, but I've been noticing a lot lately that we seem to have a lot of signs on the sides of the streets. Almost too many.
Are you referring to traffic signs or?
I'm referring to no parking, speed limit, crosswalk, railroad coming, stop sign coming, and 40 other different kinds of signs. I especially notice it coming south on Ardmore from the bridge. At night, you really kind of notice all the signs, and they're all different. And I'm wondering if we're getting to the point that we're being, we're generating blindness to the signs.
Sign clutter.
Thank you. So people aren't reading them, because there's just so many of them, who reads them all?
That's the thing about clutter. That's a danger when.
Yeah, you almost need a library card to go down.
And then when you're driving down the road, what was the speed limit on this street?
Yeah, right, yeah, there's no speed limit sign, but everything else is there. So I'm just wondering if we shouldn't consider, at least on some of the streets, whether we should have that many signs, maybe, even if we doubled them up onto the same posts in some cases, or whatever we could do to back it down. You know, it's starting to look like the city of Chicago a little bit, and frankly, I can never figure out what sign applies to what over there, so. Maybe we want to
Close
think
enough
about
for
that
that.
a little bit.
Go up north, come southbound from the bridge.
Is it only one street that you're concerned about, or?
No, I just happen to notice that one the most frequently because I drive down it quite frequently, especially at night. So all the reflective signs kind of jump out at you. But I've noticed it in other areas of town too. Even when they redid our street a year and a half ago, when they put it back up, all of a sudden we had 2 speed limit signs. That's one block. 2 speed limit signs. I don't know how many no parking this side of the street signs. No parking between this time and that time. And we got a bunch of signs on my street, whereas I think we had like 2.
Well, you're near the railroad station, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on Harvard.
So that's why you get the no parking limitations.
Well, there's 2 different kinds on our street though, too. We've got the no parking this side of the street, and then on the other side of the street, it says no parking Monday through Friday between 7 a.m. and 9, and, but then we've got a couple of speed limit signs, stop signs. I mean, we've just got like, I noticed it right after our street was done, that they put up a whole bunch. And first of all, these things have an expense. And I remember back many years ago when I lived in Elmhurst, right after I'd moved into the house there, I got a ticket for parking on the street. So I called the police station. What the hell is this? And the sergeant told me, he says, well, there's a sign that when you come into the village that says no parking on the east side of the street. And that's all they did. Now, that may have changed for whatever reason, but my point being is that maybe we have, we're getting to the point that there's too many of these signs of various types. And it's real easy to toss another sign out there. And many of them are for good reason. The 988 signs are a good reason. But maybe we need to start looking at some specific areas and see what we can trim back. Just a thought, something everybody have time to think about and look at.
Well, since you bring up, your street was just done and all these new signs came in, I have a question for Kevin. Is there some kind of new MUTCD thing or something that says it has to have so many signs specifically per footage or something like that?
There are some requirements, but not in the case of no parking signs or speed limit signs, no.
It's basically at the discretion of the Public Works and Engineering?
Public Works more so, yeah.
Okay.
That was my question. So certain signs are governed by the MUTCD, but certain signs are up to the Public Works discretion.
Right.
And myself, I've driven south on Ardmore. I don't see an excessive proliferation of signs. I don't know. That's just me.
Just the ones that, he was just Googling down the street, and, I mean, maybe I saw one sign or so, but, I mean, there was a lot of them that there was a lot of signs, but I think they were possibly necessary in reference to it. And I think it was, that street, just like, Addison.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting we pull all the signs out, but I'm saying maybe we should take a look at it and consider if we need all those signs, if we can't consolidate somehow. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yes,
I apologize. Just for historical context, this came up back when we put the stop signs in over by Willowbrook about making sure what was the appropriate number of pre-warning signs before that stop sign. And I remember at the time, I think it was Commissioner Hale back then, who made it was like we had to find a happy medium of what was the appropriate amount of signs versus when it became there were so many you just ignored them all. So sign clutter is a thing. Like I said, for historical reasons, this concern has come up previously, and it's just trying to find that balance of what's going to work versus what is just going to be overkill.
Okay. Do you want to put this up on an agenda item?
Well, I don't think it's something with any urgency. I think what I would suggest is whenever anybody here has an opportunity, maybe go down Ardmore to the bridge and just travel south and just take note of how many signs there are.
I would take it further and just driving around town.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's one particular area, but certainly be more attentive around town in general and just consider, do we need all these signs? Do we need this sign here? Maybe there's some that we don't need. Maybe there's some that we can consolidate. I don't know. Are there rules, Kevin, as far as putting multiple signs on the same pole? Or?
It is permissible to have multiple signs on a post, with some exceptions. Obviously, stop signs generally have to be by themselves. I think we probably have a few that are not, so those may not even be compliant. But for the most part, signs can be doubled up, yes.
Okay, so maybe we could do some of that. Maybe we don't need no parking this side of the street anywhere but the beginning of the block.
Oh, no.
No?
No,
Why?
because I can tell you right now, I can't tell you the amount of times people park across the street from my driveway.
Really?
Consistently. I can tell you today the village was parked across the street from my driveway. And I couldn't get out.
Was it Kevin?
But there was a village car
Yeah, he was
across the
visiting me.
street, and I'm like going, okay, I gotta go to work, can you please move? Yeah, I mean, they consistently park across the street and they leave it there. And it's like, what are you doing? I mean, our block is very long, as Carl can attest. I mean, it's very, I live between Highland and Washington, and it's very long, and they can for some reason, they just park always across the street from my driveway.
Well, we can discuss all that
Yeah.
going forward, but instead of just sitting here and talking about it, I'd like everybody to kind of take notice on your own accord. Like I said, I noticed the Ardmore corridor a lot more, but a lot of the side streets, Addison's kind of getting that way too. There's just, like I said, take a look maybe, and then if everybody else wants to do an agenda item, after next month, we'll do it. We'll talk about it next meeting, and yeah, if you want to put it on next meeting, that's fine.
Well, no, you'll bring it up next meeting?
Sure.
Okay, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I always need something to extend the meeting a little bit longer. So.
Good job right now.
I'm trying.
Yes, Bob?
I would have to say that how many signs, what constitutes sign clutter is kind of a very subjective thing. And I would prefer that staff, maybe develop some rules or, when is a sign appropriate? Rather than one person saying, I think there's too many signs, a subjective observation that maybe we depend on staff for their judgment as to where a sign's appropriate.
Well, I totally agree. That's the reason why, if there was a specific spot, okay, we could take a look at it. But if you're just saying in general for the whole village, I think that's too broad of a statement that we sit there and make comments about it. But like I said, what I saw going with Kevin as he was doing Google Streets, I didn't see really any sign that I thought was out of place.
No, I'm not saying the signs necessarily shouldn't be there or have no cause for being there, but there's just so many of them that I don't know how effective they become at that point.
I can't answer that question.
I can't either. That's why I brought it up for us to consider and discuss and research.
But I would just think if there's a sign, instead of having 2 or 3 signs on one, the situation is, hey, I didn't catch the third sign, what it said, type situation. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But let's just leave it as is right now, and we can move on.
I agree that maybe we all need to just pay attention. I know there's a lot of areas in Villa Park where there's sign clutter is huge. I just can't put my finger on exactly a spot right now, but I have noticed what he has mentioned before. It's so busy in the clutter. It really kind of brings down the appearance of a nice town.
That's actually my big point, is that it drags down the appearance of the community. I think, to a certain extent, as well as also making it so that people just don't see them.
And at the moment, I just think that
might
would
be
be
wrong.
a large request at the moment to ask Streets and Public Works to kind of give us a list of signs, because that's kind of like what you're asking at the moment, to review the signs, because unless we have a specific spot to review and make comment, I think.
No, I'm asking for us, the commission members, over the next month or two to actually just kind of pay a little closer attention and just look at how many signs are in various parts of the town and consider whether or not maybe we're getting to that point we need to back up. That's all I'm suggesting.
Okay, so let's just bring it up as a comments
Sure.
at our meeting on July.
Sure.
And go from there. Okay, leaves me with one comment. Kevin, you gave us a package here about trail crossing safety measures.
Yep.
Is there something specific about that?
I was going to address that in my comments.
Okay.
Obviously, the commission has discussed at a couple previous meetings the topic of trail crossing safety measures. This is still a work in progress. I'd hope to have it finished, but it's not. But rather than kick the can for another month, I wanted to go ahead and give you what I have had a chance to put together, just as a starting point for a conversation. We don't necessarily need to discuss it tonight, but basically listing various options for trail crossing safety measures, whether or not they're even permitted in the first place, and if they are, some additional information about them. I know some of you have sent me other ideas. I will try and get those added to this as well. This can sort of be a, maybe just a living document as ideas come up. Staff can research and provide, some quick answers on permissibility and cost, maintenance, things like that. So obviously, if there's any questions tonight, feel free to ask.
I have a question. The RRFB and the speed table, are those not the same thing?
No, so a speed table is where the driving, the pavement that motorists drive on is actually elevated like a speed bump.
Oh, okay.
So a speed table,
I was looking at the pictures and it looks like the same thing.
the photos are so small, it's
Rising there. At
difficult.
this intersection.
Got it.
Do they also call it a street hump or a speed hump?
So a speed hump tends to conjure some negative ideas. A speed table has to be fair, is engineered to be a particular slope and, be a little bit more
That's the proper term.
technically.
I'm sorry, Trish.
I apologize, Joey. Maybe I will zoom in on that photo so it doesn't appear as though I'm showing the RFBs as the speed table.
I've got a request. Could I ask if you could, when you get this finished, if you could share this with Alan Leishman, who's chair of the Bike Pedestrian and Transit?
Sure, that's no problem.
This would be of interest.
And if anybody who has not already sent me other ideas that are not listed has any, please feel free to pass those along as well.
All right, other than that, just FYI, I may be out of town in July, and I definitely probably 99.9% will be out of town for the August. So,
Quick point of order then, maybe quick poll of the commission, since at least a couple people expect to be out. Maybe show of hands, who expects to be here for the July meeting? Okay, so we're still safe to expect that meeting to take place, and then for August?
I will be out. More than like, it's 99.
I'm really only asking just because the idea of getting that notice out to those residents on Princeton.
Right.
I just want to make sure we don't get the notice out and then have no quorum for August, so.
Okay. Other than that, I have nothing else, and Kevin, do you have any additional information?
Only other item, most of the commission tonight received a letter from the village clerk with instructions for obtaining a village photo ID and a fob. If you don't need one or the other, then obviously just don't proceed with the steps to get it, but we went ahead and added everybody to the list just to make sure that anybody who needs one can get one. Instructions are in the letters. Questions, please feel free to reach out to either Christina or to Brian with the email addresses provided for those answers.
Christina or Brian Sawyer?
Sorry, Brian Sawyer, IT director for the village, is responsible for programming and releasing those files, yes?
And Christina, I don't know.
Christina Nowacki is the the administrative assistant to the police chief. And
Okay.
the police department is the one responsible for taking the photo IDs.
Gotcha.
Now, if our cards are expired, then it needs to be redone.
I would suggest that you do, yeah. I mean, I think, Carl, you were the one who mentioned at the last meeting that obviously your ID is expired.
Mine's expired too.
I like having one when you go out and speak with residents, and so for that reason, I would recommend that you do, yeah.
And I'm just gonna,
Requirement that we get,
I would not say a requirement, but again, I think there's certainly a benefit to it.
It
highly
it
recommend-
helps when you go knock on people's doors. Yeah, they might say, well, who are you?
yeah, I highly recommend it if you're gonna.
Everybody knows who you are.
So, yeah, I highly recommend it if we're gonna end up talking to somebody at their residence so that they can ask for identification, and so it's up to you then at that point there, but highly recommend it, so,
And that's all I have.
okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
McMurray and Karen.
All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Any nays? And therefore, we are ending at 9:15 and see everybody next July, hopefully.